Hi, how's it going? This is Resident O'Connell for YouTube. I'm here to do a review of the movie Todd Tarantula, written and directed by Enzel Farage. Um, it stars Ethan Walker, who plays Todd Tarantula, David Selby, who plays Lucifer Gray, uh, Nathan Wilson, who plays Barracuda. And it's about this young man who has a very troubled life, or seems to have a very troubled life. You're not really sure at first, and then you learn just how troubled he is. Um, he's on a lot of drugs. He does a lot of drugs. But you also learn very fast that his dad is very wealthy. And the one thing his dad and him share, other than the last name Tarantula, is that bike. His dad had that bike when he was a kid, or when he was a teenager, I should say. And Ethan has the bike now. And Ethan ends up losing the bike, or someone appears to have taken it. And you wonder, well, who could have took his bike? So it starts off with a bit of mystery, which is really interesting because throughout the movie you have many color change going on. And I always interpreted this, the reason for this is because Ethan's on a lot of drugs. I sort of want, and again, this is just my interpretation of it. If you disagree, you can. I sort of wonder if it's telling you that Ethan's drug use has affect and medication use has affected his mind to a degree. And so Ethan tries to call his dad. He gets his dad's assistant, and he tells him, I've lost the bike. Just tell him I've lost the bike, and or someone stole the bike. I was sorry. And lo and behold, he goes on the property, and he's just told to leave. He doesn't even get to see his dad. So on his dad's property, there's this gentleman named Lucifer Gray, who's played by David Selby. And Lucifer Gray seems to be this really wealthy businessman. And he's very vague with Ethan, with Ethan's character, I should say, with Todd Tarantula. And he then he starts telling him about this place in Los Angeles that if you go there at night, you'll see the dead. And Todd Tarantula's like, "You're full of shit," you know. And it's like, what's he want out of this guy? Because he tells him that him and his dad have been talking about his dreams, and even this sort of weirds and disturbs Todd Tarantula out. He's not alone. David Selby's character is very creepy in this movie. Really good character too. Um, and so Todd Tarantula is like not sure if he should trust him. And David Selby's character, well, why don't you take a friend? And he's like, you know what? Okay, it ain't a bad idea. And he does take a friend, which is played by Nathan Wilson. That's who plays Barracuda. And so him and his friend go to this place, and some weird stuff starts to happen. He pulls his friend through a dimensional portal, through a time portal, basically, which is like, holy crap. So you're like, wait a minute, can this dude go through time? Because he does tell Lucifer Gray this story about how he could see something when he was a kid. And it's like, well, wait, this kid have some sort of power? And what you're realizing is, oh shit, he can time travel. He has the ability to time travel without really realizing it. And the medication that he has been put on and the drugs he has taken has sort of affected his mind so much he's not sure what's real and what's fake. And that's something the actor does really well in this movie. He probably will not get enough credit. Really, really great job by the actor who played Todd Tarantula. I know I just mentioned his name, but again, I'm old, so um, but really, really good job. And he, after taking his son through a portal, his friend gets pulled down by the lizard people, which is crazy. So, and you find that out later on. And you find out that Lucifer Gray took this guy's bike and that Lucifer Gray has made shady deals with his dad. And he's hooked his dad to these machines. And he's like, oh, God. And what Todd Tarantula's realizing is, you know, what he realizes at first is that Lucifer Gray is somebody who uses people. But what he now, but he travels to the past. Todd Tarantula does, and he's talking to this woman, and they're at this like old altar, and here comes a younger version of Lucifer Gray. He can move his spirit through time, but not his body, and he doesn't have the same type of power that Todd Tarantula has. So, which is really really interesting. Um, And Todd Tarantula's like, oh crap. And he realizes this. He realizes I've got to get rid of Lucifer Gray. That's something the actor does really well. You can tell, like, he has all the intents and purposes of taking down Lucifer Gray. He does not hide that fact at all. I didn't mind the colors of this movie for the simple fact of, look, I'm a huge fan of the Silent Hill movie. I know that movie doesn't have colors necessarily, but there's always movies that try to do stuff with your mind or try to deceive you from a mental standpoint. And I have no problem with that. More notably, a movie that does this is the original Jacob's Ladder. Not the exact same colors, but the way they do certain colors with red and the way they move the camera around in that movie. Um, it sort of reminded me of that a bit. Um, there's no demons in this movie, but there's lizard people, which I like. A really great performance by David Selby. Not shocked, not shocked. I mean, definitely deserved. I read that he got a best supporting. He was nominated for best supporting actor. Um, Deserved, well deserved. I mean, and he really really shines in this, and so does the lead actor. I mean, I think his name's Ethan Wilson, if I remember correctly. If I mispronounce his name, I apologize. But he did a really good job as the character of Todd Tarantula. Because here's a character who, you always meet characters who don't ask for their abilities they're given, and really, there's a lot of nod to DS in this too, in a certain way. When you think about Todd Tarantula, your first mindset goes to Barnabas. Um, when you look at it, instantly, that's a character I went to instantly when I was watching Todd Tarantula and thinking about his situation, about how he was given this ability. He's born with this ability that his mother passed down to him, but he did not ask for it, and he wasn't sure how to handle it. And who would be? He had it at a very young age. And, the fact that his dad pushed him on medication did not really help him because his dad couldn't cope with it either, really, and it did not help him any, and it caused them to fight. And one of the biggest questions that going to near the end of this movie was, okay, we know Todd Tarantula can travel through time. Now can he change the things that went wrong? And that is answered in a big yes. And he has this conversation with his dad 11 years in the past, where him and his dad are going to have this fight, and where his dad's going to hit him, and he tells his dad, instead of hitting him, hug him and make sure you have your people clean up the body. And when that guy comes to you, do not do a deal with him. And he's talking about the dead Lucifer Gray. Um, and he said his dad asked him, where are you going? He goes, I'm going to go have the time of my life. And you sort of wonder what Todd Tarantula, you're left to wonder, where did Todd Tarantula go? And that's one of the best questions you can ask in a movie is, he could have went anywhere through time. It doesn't, And that's one of the best questions. Really, really good. It's entertaining as hell. I give it a solid 7.5. Again, I don't mind the colors because I've seen movies that are sort of color-esque and try to trip you out mentally, and I have no problem with that. So that's been my review of Todd Tarantula. It's free on Tubi. Definitely go check it out. It is well worth your time. Have a good day, folks.